Hello, everybody. Thanks all for joining us for another episode of the Weekendology Podcast. We're the only podcast with the hottest takes, the best talking points, and the stories to spark your weekend conversations. I'm Will Deichley, back alongside my co-host, Aaron Berg. Aaron, what's up today, man?
Hey, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I should be excited for this one. We're back again with another episode. We had a little hiatus there for the holidays, but for Thanksgiving. Aaron, how was your Thanksgiving? Did you have a good time?
It was great. It is the second best holiday.
I would debate that.
I had a good time.
I would say Halloween's the best holiday, but that's just me. So you can go on believing whatever you want to believe, but that's fine. I mean,
I will.
All right.
Because Thanksgiving, you eat turkey.
Well,
and you sleep.
In your opinion,
Halloween, you just eat candy.
But you can dress up in costumes. There's, the pumpkins. Fall is like the very start of fall and everything. It's
you
like
can tell me
time.
a million times about this. We've had this debate countless times.
Yeah.
And I'll still never believe it because you eat food and you relax.
What's number one in your opinion?
Well, Christmas, obviously.
Well, okay, so Christmas is number one. Then where does Halloween lie on the hierarchy of holidays? Fourth? What's number
third?
Easter.
Yeah.
That's a weird holiday to include.
You get candy on Easter too.
I mean, I guess, but
and presents.
You get presents?
Yeah, Easter Bunny.
I don't get presents.
Easter Bunny never stops coming if you believe.
Same
with Santa.
All right. Well, I get presents regardless on Christmas, but I don't get any presents on Easter. So maybe I'm not a true believer then in Easter Bunny.
Yeah, looks like you're not.
Well, for anybody else out there, tell us if you believe in Easter Bunny. I don't know. Thanks for joining us again, though, for that week off break. So if you're new to the show, welcome. We really appreciate you joining us here. We talk about different types of topics in movies, music, sports, media, and we kind of talk about how we can change them or improve upon them. So we've covered a lot of different topics, all the way from changes in modeling with a couple Playboy models. We've had a guest on from minor league hockey, all the way talking to our Americans overworked. So we cover a wide range of topics to discuss, and it's really to kind of get you thinking and get you talking over the weekend. So thanks for joining us again. Give us a follow on Twitter. We're at Weekendology Pod. We're on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you can listen to podcasts as well. So Aaron, we've got a good one here for you. I am excited about this one. I know you're excited about this one. We're back in the realm of sports. We're talking about...
I feel like we have our most passionate and heated discussions when
of course.
Sports.
Well, we're both sports aficionados, and we love them, and that's what our background is in. So
yeah, we just get pumped.
Yeah,
especially this topic. Since day one, since we started this podcast, I didn't want to put this out too early because I feel like when we say what we're gonna do, everyone's like, "Oh, of course," and they're all gonna disagree with what we're doing. But we have some good points, and I have points that I've been yelling at the TV whenever I watch this, and now I get to share them with you and all you good people.
Yes, we're happy to bring you along for the ride, and we're talking about college athletes, and the debate is if they should be paid or not, and we've each got our own opinions.
Wait, cue the groans.
This.
Everyone's like,
oh no, not just another, not another sports podcast, but also not another college. Athletes again. Should be paid. Yeah. But we're going to dive into this, give you our takes on it. And I think it's an interesting topic to talk about because you've got so much money being placed in college sports. It's such a huge part of the industry. And you've got so many big-name players, college football, basketball, and so on and so forth. And this has been a huge debate for a long time now. So let's get into this then. So when we were in college, Aaron, we were pretty close with some of the basketball players, some of the college athletes there. They kind of were split on it. They were given, stipends. They were given certain means to kind of recuperate for not being paid, so to speak. But the debate is, should they be paid, salaries, or is it going to be, go down the same routes of scholarships for what their reimbursement is? So, I think I'm just going to come out and say, I don't think athletes should be paid at all. I definitely think that they are getting reimbursement through free tuition. That's the main thing.
And that's the classic argument. Yeah. I think, too, that's people who think they should be paid, when they look at the opposition, they're going to say, oh, yeah, you would say that. And then they go on to say, well, scholarship isn't pay. which...
Well, it is. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what amazes me. Just right off the bat, let's get the cookie cutter, stuff out of the way with this one, because this age-old argument, and this is the first thing that comes up, is scholarship pay or not. How is it not?
Yeah.
How much does it cost to go to these schools? And Stanford, Duke, these powerhouse schools, Power 5 schools that are also amazing academically, you wouldn't be going there. A lot of times, you wouldn't be getting in if you couldn't play the sport. There's no chance. So it's kind of, how is that not pay in and of itself?
So let's set the stage here then. So it's not all glitz and glamour for a lot of these college athletes. You hear stories of some of these football players who don't have enough to eat, or they don't have enough money to go and buy the things that they need to live, but you're compensated in different ways when you're a student athlete. A lot of their college athletes want more for their efforts and contributions through their athletic teams. They put their bodies on the line. They work really hard, almost just as much as a professional athlete does. Mm-hmm. And then they have school on top of that. So I get that.
That goes into that debate, and I understand that too. However, and they say, because I was going to say to that, it's not a job. You're there to go to school, and you choose to play the sport. But then, the opponents of the argument say, well, they're treating it like a job. The NCAA is treating it like a job, mm-hmm. where they're essentially employees for the school, and they're making money for the school. I get that, and they are. I'm not gonna tiptoe around that and say they're not. And there's a lot. I'm not saying the NCAA is great, and we should commend them for treating the student athletes well. They're not. And the NCAA, it's a business. They're trying to make money, and they're fake. I think it's stupid that they even try to look like, oh no, we care. They don't, and everyone knows it. So I'm not gonna sit here and say the NCAA is great and the kids just need to shut up. There's issues with it, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
However, the first thing I've always said, well, number one, I've never seen an athlete not eat. That's so extreme.
Well, there was one college football player came out and was like, I only have
Arian Foster said that.
Yeah, that's who it was. It was like, I only have $5 or whatever a week to eat. I can't make the money that I need to make because I'm playing and then I'm going to school.
Well, welcome to college.
I'm like, well,
seriously,
that's a normal college
kids,
student's problem, and then you should know that going into it. But I think the landscape is changing quite a bit from over the last 5-6 years into where it is now too, and the NCAA's made some improvements and sweeping changes to kind of progress the payment of student athletes just in a different way, and we'll get to that later. But I think the biggest thing is the NCAA and CBS coming to that $11 billion TV arrangement over the next 5-6 years or something through 2023, 24. And now a lot of people are saying, well, because of this huge investment in the TV deals, there's enough money to pay these athletes what they want, or what their quote unquote salaries would be. So I think that's why we're getting into this, and that's why there's a lot of topic and discussion about it. So with that huge $11 billion deal, I think it makes sense for people. I get why people are saying, okay, now it's time to be paid, but what do you do when you come to Ohio State versus Florida Gulf Coast?
Right.
How do you discern between who gets how much money for salary, which players get enough, what schools get enough?
How do you? That's the thing. That's the thing. And tell us your opinions. After this, comment, let us know, because I really want to know. I want to know how this would work, because that's something where I've always thought about. Okay, that's step one. How's that going to work? Because you could say there's money to go around, $11 billion. So you got money to pay the kids.
But all that money is not going to go to the kids or the players. It's going to go and pay
no way.
Everybody else. And
well, so let's stick with that right there. Exactly what you brought up. Sure, Ohio State, you can pay them, but what about Ohio University? You can pay them.
Right.
Florida Gulf Coast. You get lower and lower, they're not going to get paid. Then what happens? Creates a monopoly. So you're going to get Power 5 schools that are just dominating, and schools, these mid-majors and even these very small schools that are D1, they're not going to get anything. How can they get something, and then why would a kid go there? So you're going to mean to tell me, oh, you're going to go to a school just because you love a sport? No, you're going to go to get paid. And then it's going to turn into even more so of, it's going to be like the NBA is, where you know the teams, you know who's going to make it because they always get the star recruits. And it's already kind of that way, where a 5-star recruit, 99% of the time, he's going to a Power 5 school. He's not going to choose Ohio University. He's going to go to Ohio 100%. State. Yeah. And so if you're paying him 100%, he's going 110%. He's going there.
And then what happens? It's more turns into kind of more of a big business type of thing, more than it already is now. So
it makes the problem worse.
Alabama, who's one of the best college football teams in the last 15 years of all time. Like, of course, they're going to be shelling out more money to get the best recruits to come in and play for them.
Oh yeah.
And then there's no parity between the two, and then you only get known for going there to get paid, and like you said, and then it's just this launching point for your career. Essentially starts there, like your professional career starts there.
And also the schools that get this money, you got to remember, they use it to build these facilities and these indoor every school. SMU now is building an indoor practice facility.
Yeah,
and their football before this year was nothing and had been nothing for 30 years. They're getting this state-of-the-art stuff for recruiting. You can't tell me that's not a form of payment. They're getting state-of-the-art.
You're getting perks.
And that's SMU. What's going on at SEC schools?
Yeah, and the students get stipends as well.
Right.
For one, they get the free tuition. They're getting stipends for food. That's like an NCAA mandate.
I was a mascot, as I've spoken a million times.
Go Billy Kid.
Go the Billy Kid. And haven't won an NCAA tournament game since. So, yeah, that's all me.
You're going to be saying that till, the day we die. You're going to be 95.
I'm going to contact them when I die. And, hey, can I have the Billiken suit to be buried in it?
You damn kids. Remember my day.
But, I went to New York. I got $50 a day.
This is a mascot.
A mascot. When we all got equal stuff.
Yeah.
All the cheerleaders, all the I don't know if the band did, but the players, me, we all got $50 a day, and there was meal money. Man, I pocketed it. I'm not going to spend $50 on a meal out here. They're given more than enough, and that was just that one time when I got that in New York. I'm sure they're given bigger stipends.
$50 a day for food. I spend maybe $100 a week on groceries.
Exactly.
You could eat like a king for that much.
Dude, and I'm the mascot. And that's the thing. Seeing this firsthand, seeing the classrooms, the tutors that you get for free, this is all just given to you because you're in athletics.
Yeah.
And I was a mascot. We went to SLU, which A10, it's mid-major school. Didn't go to an SEC school, wasn't playing college football.
I wonder how much Alabama's getting, or Michigan, or
dude, they're given so much, and that's the thing where, sure, it's not straight cash, homie. You're not Randy Mossing it here, but they're given this stuff, and to say that's not a form of pay, it's ridiculous.
No, it is. You're getting perks. You get work perks all the time in a profession. Free parking. You get work from home, whatever it is.
Right.
You're given opportunity to get more payment in different media.
Plus your scholarship.
Exactly, too. And people will argue
thousands of dollars.
That's just how capitalism works. It should be how it is. There's no parity in people who work, who are the big companies who make, $6 million a year as opposed to, the guys who make, $10,000 a year. But that's not what student athletes are for. They're students first and they're athletes second.
Right.
And you have to go into it then there's no amateurism or whatever. They're not collegiate athletes. They're just professional athletes.
So that brings it to 2 points. Number one, you're there to go to school. If you don't want to go to school, don't go. Go play in Europe. Go do something else, and then go to the pros. And that's the thing. No one is forcing you to go to school. So there's that,
there's so
and I
much
can get
money in it though, outside of school,
right?
Because look, the schools are profiting off of the students in other ways too, but there's also other means for students to make money too. There's branding, there's sponsorship deals, there's ways to appeal to these athletes in other ways outside of outright paying them,
right?
And that's, I don't know, I don't like that because one, I do agree these athletes work hard,
100%.
They are.
No one's denying.
They do put a lot on the field, and don't mistake the passion that you see on the field for their want of just saying, okay, I want to get paid for this.
Yeah, and they're putting their bodies on the line.
Exactly,
especially
too. And that's another big
football,
argument.
Hockey.
Like, they risk blowout their knees or concussions or whatever it is, and they're like, okay, well, if I'm putting my body on the line, shouldn't I get something for it in return?
Well, and just to get to the second point of that, and then because I don't want to forget, you mentioned capitalism.
Oh,
and it's funny. So I was going to bring this up later. I'm just going to bring it up now, and we can
just throw it out there.
Yeah, I'm throwing it all out
Send
there,
it, man.
This was like 10 years of stuff in my mind that finally
aggression.
I get to get out. So capitalism. Michael Wilbon. I love Michael Wilbon. He's a smart guy. He's fun to watch on PTI. Fun to read. He's in the Washington Post forever. Great sports writer.
Yeah, really smart dude.
Only bad thing about him is he's a Cubs fan, and the second bad thing is he wrote this article I don't agree with. But I know, right? He brought up, well, that's capitalism because of the point football and basketball get paid, and they bring up, well, how do non-revenue sports get paid? And he said, well, that's capitalism. The revenue sports make payment. Too bad for the non-revenue sports. All right, Title IX. How are you paying women?
Yeah, how do you do that? Like,
but capitalism, like.
But
it's how is that going to? It can't
proven
work.
that women's sports don't get as much traction or viewership as men's sports do.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that is going to be just a hellstorm there. Where okay, let's pay football and basketball players, so we're just paying revenue sports. I mean, other than like UConn and maybe Tennessee and
Baylor,
a couple,
I think.
Yeah, Baylor, a couple of those schools, 5 schools
that
they're maybe profitable for women's basketball. All those other women aren't going to get paid, and then that's going to be chaos. No one's going to go for that. But then you go back to the argument, well, capitalism. Like, it's stupid.
Well, what happens when, I mean, like basketball and football are the two main ones, but like, what about volleyball? Or what about like soccer or even like
exactly.
hockey or something?
And take the argument of, well, they put their bodies on the line. Okay, so non-revenue sports don't?
Exactly.
So you're saying football and basketball players do more?
Hockey is probably one of the most physical sports. I think the most physical sport there is, and the most physically exerting sport. So, like, if you go into it saying, "Oh, well, those are the money makers, and you have to reward the money makers,"
so the other ones don't matter.
Well, there's no equality then for across the board. So, if I'm a hockey player going in, like, I've got a full ride scholarship to Kansas or something, and then.
You don't watch college hockey, do you?
I don't. Minnesota then, whatever. UNT then. And, then some other dude is like, okay, I've got a full ride scholarship for the basketball team, but I'm getting paid cash outright. Well, how is that fair to the hockey player then who is equally as putting in the same amount of hours?
Student athletes.
Yeah.
They're both athletes. So
one gets paid in free tuition, but the other gets paid in $60,000 in straight cash per year.
You're literally telling them you don't matter. Because, again, go back to the original argument. All right, scholarships aren't a form of payment, and, these athletes put their bodies on the line. But then if you do that and you go with, well, just pay the revenue sports, you're literally saying, and then you go with the non-revenue are getting scholarships, and they're getting, the stuff. Like, you're going in a circle here.
I agree too, and the difference in the pay between salary versus, I guess, like a scholarship is pretty negligible anyway. I think the average full athletic scholarship for an NCAA Division I is like $65,000 a year. Well, if you're talking about paying student athletes, that scholarship includes tuition, room and board, books, all that kind of stuff.
That's insane.
I know, right?
I
wish
seriously,
I had free tuition.
Yeah, take that out a year. How again? I'll stop saying it, but how is that not a form of payment? That's $65,000 off the books for either you or your parents,
right? And so then take that. You pay a student athlete or whatever, like $80,000 or something with taxes. That's because that's a form of payment. You have to pay taxes on that. Everything comes down to around $60,000 anyway. So you're maybe a little bit more. So the difference is going to be so small that you're causing a bunch of fuss for no reason.
Right.
For changing the rules or doing anything like that. And like we already said, like discerning between who gets paid and who doesn't is a total nightmare. Like you can't go in and to say, okay, well, you get $500,000 and this other Joe Schmo gets $500.
I thought about this too. What about schools like Dallas Baptist University? Their baseball is their moneymaker. I believe that's their only Division I sport. They're consistently ranked. Okay, now what do? So do baseball players get paid there because you're the moneymakers, and then the basketball and football players don't get paid? Well, they're still NCAA athletes.
Yeah.
That's you know what I'm saying? You get into that weird thing is, okay, do we go across the board of paying revenue sports? Okay, but what about the schools that their football doesn't bring in any money? And football mostly loses money for schools. So that's the thing. It's going to be only the schools that are profitable on these sports, which isn't many, and is the schools that are pretty much winning every year. And then kids are going to want to just go there. It's, again, you're bringing it back to just going to this monopoly. And these schools, they might as well not even have these athletic programs because no one's going to want to go because they're just going to chase the money. Just like they're doing now in pro sports. They chase the money.
It will be tough because then you'll get kind of like the big three, so to speak, or super elite teams.
And you already kind of have that.
You already have that, too, in college sports. Like, it's obvious, you know.
Well, and isn't that what makes college sports cool is March Madness. Let's go with basketball. Yeah. People love March Madness, not because they love watching college basketball. It's because you can see Mercer beat Duke, or you can see George Mason make the Final Four, or you can see Loyola Chicago.
Number one seed get knocked out in the first round.
Yeah, UMBC beat Virginia. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, you know, and it's like that is what makes that joy and that happen. That would never, ever happen if you start paying Virginia, but then UMBC can't pay them as much.
Right. And it turns into kind of like a mini NBA then. So we did an episode on the promotion relegation system a couple weeks back. You know, should American sports adopt that? That would be the only reason where I could now, looking back on that, see that system would work then too. Because if you...
That's called the minor leagues.
Exactly then. So it turns into
they have it already.
The minor league of the NBA, but it's like they would just abolish like the G League or something, and then everybody would just go and play for college, and
then you don't have affiliations.
Yeah, well,
that's the thing. It's like, well, why would you do that? You know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, then you get it's just such a hyper feeder league into the NBA or the NFL or whatever. Then
yeah, and they already get accused of being the feeder league. You know, NCAA sports gets accused of being the feeder league too. Which, sure, I mean, most of these big time athletes, they get into these colleges and they try to go play college sports just so they can springboard themselves into pro sports. I mean, which is fine. I have nothing against that. I mean, go do what you have to do. But to me, if you're going to make this big payday, you're going to get, like, if you're a huge athlete, you're going to get that payday later on. It's going to come. So you can't go 2 or 3 years making, quote unquote, making nothing. Like a normal college student, by the way, and then get your huge payday at the end of it. Like Zion. Oh no, he had to go to Duke and he didn't get paid. He got he's getting a huge payday now in the NBA. So
yeah, he had to stick it out for 1 year of college.
Right, he knew it was coming. It's not like he's in the dark, like, oh, I don't know. And then for the kids that are like, hey, I don't know if I can make the league. All right, then go get a major, and go be a college student and go get a job. And I know I sound like an old guy here, but
you're a boomer, Aaron.
I'm a boomer. Okay, boomer. But what's wrong with that? I just don't get when they paint this picture of these kids of, oh man, they have a dream to go play in the league, but they don't have the money to do it, and then they have to quit their sport. Yeah, that's how it goes, man. I mean, you're the one who picked.
1% of people make the top
right. Then
anyway.
Don't pick to do it. And if it's so bad and your conditions are so terrible, don't play. Then don't be a college athlete. That's just it's like that's what you sign up for.
I think what a lot of people will argue is that there's these schools are profiting off of the hard work of the students or the athletes then. And I don't think a lot of people like that because they're not being able to given proper reimbursement.
But isn't the athlete profiting off the school because they're using the school to springboard their career?
No, I agree. And regardless of how you're paid, there's still a method of reimbursement.
A lot of these superstar kids aren't choosing to go to Kentucky because they really just want to go to Kentucky and get that good old Kentucky education. They're going to play basketball. And John Wall went there to go play basketball and get to the NBA.
So if you had the choice then of getting a free scholarship to SLU, full ride for all 4 years, that's like what? I don't know, $120,000, $150,000,
sure, yeah.
$150,000, or they gave you $100,000 outright, what would you choose?
And I'm an athlete?
Yeah, if you're a student athlete. So you can either have a full ride scholarship, room, board, tuition, books, all that included, or just give you a straight $100,000 in cash.
Taking the scholarship.
You take the scholarship.
100%. Because, in this scenario, am I an athlete that has a realistic chance of going into
I don't know.
The pros?
You're given, maybe, yeah, if you work hard enough and you know.
Am I like middle of the road or am I like high level?
Middle of the road. Let's just say that. Because like not everybody's going to be in elite status. Like
I'm still going to take the scholarship because I ask that because if I was for sure going to go to the league, I would take it because I'm going to get paid anyway. I might as well take the education too.
Yeah.
But no, if I'm middle of the road, I'm taking it because that way, hey, I have a plan B. I can go get an education for free and go study something and know that I can prepare myself for a job. And I get it. It's demanding schedules. It's it's hard to have a quote unquote quality major. You can't. It's very few engineers out there who also play D1 sports.
True.
Although Paul Eckerly from St. Louis University, he did it.
Doctor now or something.
Yeah. Kyle Williams at Arizona State. He's a starting receiver, and he's going to be a doctor. He has an internship at the Mayo Clinic. Wow. It can be done.
It can be
that's
done.
That's the thing. I like these.
So what would you do if you were an elite prospect then?
Like I said, I would still take it because you're getting that education handed to you. You might as well do it.
Right.
And it's that plan B and it's setting up for that. Whereas you take the $100,000 just outright, it's going to go so fast. That's nothing. And I understand you're 18, $100,000 is a ton of money and that's tempting. But
I think that's what a lot of these mindsets are for these kids or these student athletes.
I'm not saying it's easy.
If they would have the choice, or if they were the opportunity, like I'll take $100,000 cash, no problem. And then they blow it on stupid stuff, and you come into these issues of okay, well you're making the same mistakes as you would in the NBA, blowing all your money, going to buying on stupid cars or stupid stuff and that you don't need and. You're not equipped to deal with all that, and you're around a bunch of college kids, so they're gonna start coming after you, like, "Hey, man, can I have some money? Yeah, buy me some stuff." Like, you're getting paid, right?
I just think that's a tough one because you should have the foresight, no matter where you come from or who you are.
You think all of these guys coming into like elite prospects or like some of these kids from troubled neighborhoods are gonna have the foresight to just say, "Yeah, man, I should need to be fiscally responsible. I've had nothing my entire life." I get the chance to get $150,000 right off the bat. I'm gonna take the money.
I mean,
that's just that's a given.
Yeah, but they can and that's what I'm saying.
If the option to be student athletes were paid, that existed, they're gonna for sure 100% take the money. And I think that's a bad mindset to have. But that's just how it is.
But you can do that already. Go play in Europe.
Are you gonna get paid $100,000? Are you
get
gonna
paid more than what they'll pay you in the G League?
I guess, but I mean...
Brandon Jennings did it.
But it's the branding element, too, that comes along with it. Like, I'm going to go to Alabama, get paid, $150,000, and I'm in the environment of Alabama. I can go party with my bros. I can, spend all this money, and then I'm going to go get paid millions of dollars in the league in a year or two. So...
What are you saying?
So I'm just saying, the mindset of that, people are not going to go and choose to play in Europe, than as opposed to staying here. They're going to grind it out here, or if the option to get paid was real, then they're gonna take the money. They're not going to go go anywhere else. So.
Of course, but again, that goes back to my point of if they did that, then they're going to go to whoever can pay them the most because these schools aren't going to be able to pay the same. So that creates that problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's never going to be any parity with it. There's never going to be kind of that element of equality. Because
what I'm saying is, if you have a full ride scholarship, and you take the scholarship, you can't claim that, I'm not getting paid here, or and act like you're just being, treated like a slave. I mean, you're not.
Isn't that terrible how some athletes describe it as, they're working for all this, but that's how it is though. Like that's how some of these athletes view it as, and it's not.
Which is just nuts because like I said before, you're getting an education. They are giving you an education. They're giving you a plan B. Whether you can't see it or not, that's up to you, man. I mean seriously, like that. I mean, that's. I just think that argument doesn't fare well because going to college, you're becoming an adult. You're learning how to like make good decisions and not blow your money. It's kind of like getting a job where, hey, we're going to pay you this much. You have to learn not to spend it or else you'll be out on the street. It's like you're getting that education early in college. That's the point of college. Like you're going to college to learn, okay, how do I make this work when I'm broke or like I have to try to deal with stress?
Well, see, like you have a different mindset though. I guess you have to put yourself in the shoes of some guy who wasn't ever given hardly anything growing up. He has a chance to make it, if the option presents itself.
It sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, I'm obviously I'm not going to sit here and be like, no, that's a stupid idea. Like that sounds perfect, but it can't happen.
Right.
That's the thing. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, like no, that's bad. I mean, sure, like that's great, and I wish that could happen, but like I said, that it can't.
No.
There is no way to just straight up give kids money because, hey, you put your body on the line for us. We have all this money. Here you go. Like,
yeah, then you have to come up with contracts and everything.
Right.
And then there's I'm sure there's clauses. And
well, so now
would you include trade clauses in there or something?
Well, and that's going to happen because now in I think it's 2023, they can get agents.
Oh, okay.
So that's coming.
So they're going to have to pay their agent then, and then there's going to have to seek other means.
Right, and that's what's going to be interesting. It's like we're going to start seeing, okay, how is this going to work? Mm-hmm. And the point I also look at is, all right, how much do you pay them? All right, pay them. How much?
Yeah.
It's going to have to be so low that it's not even going to matter.
Well, let's talk about that because, the NCAA is now, the athletes are now able to profit off of their likeness. They're not outrightly paid.
I love that, by the way.
No, I think that's the answer to kind of like a great middle ground for it because they're not getting paid straightly outright, but you're allowed to profit off of brand deals or sponsorship deals or like the NCAA football games or basketball games or anything like that. Jerseys and stuff. You can now make money off of that. So I think that's a great way to go.
Yeah, because and that's the thing, they're doing it. If you're, I don't know, Johnny Manziel.
Money
Manziel. I'm just going to go with that because that was a big issue for him and the autograph thing and selling his jersey.
I remember that.
Yeah, and there was the huge deal back then of, okay, he's making all this money for the school. A&M was back because of him. People loved A&M because of Johnny Manziel. I'm not going to say he was a recruiting tool for just your regular college student. He was doing work for the school.
Yeah.
Totally. 100%. He was also making money for the football program because he was the star and he was, popular and in the media and all this stuff. Great. Awesome. He should. I mean, why not?
Yeah, I don't see any.
If people are wearing his jersey or, if they put him in a video game, if they had the video game back then, why not? He did the work. That, I think, it shouldn't come from the school, though. Come from whatever endorsements he's signing or, whatever he does outside because that's his business. And that's something he built and something he's doing on his own. But the school shouldn't have the responsibility of paying him because he's doing that on his own. And that way, other kids, if someone else raised their hand, Mike Evans, he was there at the same time, and he said, hey, I'm not getting paid either. Well, Mike Evans, do what Johnny Manziel is doing. Figure that out.
Yeah,
and then go get your own endorsements.
A good brand for himself.
And that's how I think, like you said, it's a good middle ground because you're not going to get this issue of, well, where's my money? Because then it becomes individual and capitalism. There you go. It becomes well, okay, then you figure out how to go do it and go get your own endorsements. The schools don't have the headache of how do I pay these people out, equally and all that stuff.
And there's rules and stipulations that the athletes have to follow too. They're allowed to be compensated through the NCAA's 3 divisions, but the divisions still have to craft their own rules and detail the specifics of how that's going to happen. And a lot of these student athletes have to be treated similarly to the non-student athletes then. So they can't be treated like employees of the universities. There has to be a clear distinction between both the college and the professional opportunities. A lot of legal jargon included with it as well. But I think it's a great idea, and California is going to be the first one to pass the law.
Yeah, I think they definitely should have done that a long time ago.
100%,
and the argument that has, I remember, I think it was Ed O'Bannon. He was one of the first people to bring it up because of the video game, and he's like, "I'm in this video game. Mm-hmm. You're making my character in the video." And everyone knew,
they couldn't use the names, but
they
could use the jersey.
They
numbers.
had a 7-foot tall dude with a ponytail played for Florida basketball in 2007. Or Joakim Noah? Yeah, it's him. It's so obvious. So I
can't remember. Could they use the names of those players?
No, no, because that's likeness.
Okay,
and that was the whole.
I remember playing all
deal.
those games when I was a kid, and
they would
we clearly know that this is Florida.
You either had the option of I think it was player 1 and player 2, or you could give them names, fake names. so that way it looked a little more real.
Right.
It was just so funny though when you had a really. A guy who you could tell who it was, and it was so obvious, and they were trying to get around that to make it look realistic. But they're like, "Oh, we didn't put his name on it; it's not his likeness." It's just goofy. But they should have done that. That should have been done a long time ago because, like I said before, they did the work. They, built that brand. They got into that game where people are buying their jersey. So sure, the school gets a cut of it, but no, the player did the work. So. That's how they should do it.
Yeah, I agree. And that's part of the whole building of the brand thing and going out and, being that professional in a different area, so to speak, as being a business person, going.
And that way it takes out the, what we were saying before, where if you go to Coastal Carolina, you go to Coastal Carolina, people don't watch your games. So that's why, it's harder for you to build a brand. And
But your success is determined upon your willingness to put in for it,
right.
Work for it. It's not just because, I'm getting so much money because I go to the university. You could be going to Alabama or Michigan State and not put any effort into it and not make any money off of your likeness or your brands. Yep. Or you could be at, Florida Gulf Coast and be the most popular guy alive and have great social media and be, an entrepreneur that way. So
right, yeah,
and then you go to the pros and make your money there. So
yep, I think that is the perfect way to do it. And then if you're not making money and you're like, hey, screw this, I'm not getting paid, then that's where I go back to, okay, then don't play. And also I think it teaches them about the business. So when they do, if you do make the league, you learn how to build your brand, and you're not just given something. And I think too, you'll see kids, they'll spend their money a little wiser because they know how to, okay, I made this money, I did this, and they'll value it a little more instead of just, hey, here you go, and then they're just going to blow it.
Yeah, and I think to circle back to Wilbon's article and what he wrote, it's a good article. He makes some good points, but I think he goes too much, he puts too much critical emphasis on, that's just how it is, and that's just how the economy works, and too bad for the other teams and schools. And you can't.
You say too bad, and then it's like, okay, but there's going to be a consequence for that.
There's a huge folly within that mindset of, these are not professionals. The NCAA has clearly distinguished between what is amateurism and what is professionalism, and these are not professionals. And if you're going to label them as professionals, then you have to be ready to face the consequences or all of the unfairness that comes along with being involved in a giant business conglomerate.
Well, and I think too that's a great point. That brings up Tim Tebow's video that everyone hates because he said he wouldn't.
Wasn't this a rant that he went on?
Yeah. On
student athletes,
First Take.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah. He was passionate about it, which is hilarious because he's so passionate about not getting paid.
Right.
I'm like, what? But he brought up a great point though because he said you're taking that passion out of sports, and then kids are just going to go and treat it like a job, and then fans are going to look at it like a job, and you're going to see how
you'll just see sellouts then.
Right. And you see fans where they're not as passionate about pro sports because they know it's a business. They know these guys are just all about the money. Whereas college, you can feel that passion. And he brought up the point, stadiums are bigger in college because more people want to go and see it, and they have more of this pride to go to these schools because it's the school and because it's that brand. And
I don't think
what
I've ever seen a stadium as big as like college football. Was it Ann Arbor or something?
Yeah,
there's like 100,000 students or 100,000 seats in that stadium. Like,
right.
That's enormous stadium. I don't think any NFL or NBA stadium would ever even come close to that. And I don't think I don't think it would be sold out half as much as.
No, and I think because it's he was exactly right. It's keeping that pride there. That I don't know what a good word other than that would be, but
no, it's just
you know what
pride.
I mean.
There's a sense of
that
passion
sense of
and
college
like
sports
ownership.
are like you're like it's my school,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know you can get that with pro sports, like it's my team, but you get guys transferring, but you don't get like guys. All right, well I can go make money here. Well, see you later. I mean, look, Russell Westbrook is, I'm true to OKC.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Houston, we'll pay him more. Okay, see you later. Like, it happens a million times. Even when they say, I'm loyal, that doesn't happen. And you don't want that to happen in college sports. You're going to get guys transferring left and right.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be a mess. Cause
you'd have to put in some sort of clause in all the contracts that's saying you can't transfer or you can't go anywhere else. This is your flat fee.
It's going to be such a headache.
And you don't get performance bonuses, you don't get anything like that.
And then there's no pride because it's like, all right, these guys don't care about the school. Why do I care about the school?
But then you've got the players who are astronomically better than some of the practice squad players, and they say, okay, well, I'm getting paid the same as some dude who never plays and isn't as good as me, and then you create disgruntlement amongst them, and then it causes more controversy, and then ESPN's talking about it for the umpteenth time.
Well, or if you're... what if it's structured like the pros where like star gets the bigger money and then there's like a minimum for the bench guy?
Yeah.
Why would the bench guy work hard then? Like,
exactly.
Why would he do he'd be like, why am I playing?
Yeah. Why would he care?
It's going to take out that love of the game. And I know like it's not all fun and games at the college level, especially D1. Like it is a business. I get it. And it's kind of halfway there, but there's still that glimmer, like Tim Tebow said, that passion is still there for those guys, and you just add paying and money to it. No, people are just going to care about, okay, I'm just here to get paid, and I'm going to try to get more money, and that's going to be the motivation, and it's going to just tear down the fun and the excitement that you see in March Madness, that you see in the college football playoff, or the bowl games, or the Frozen Four, or any of that, or the College World Series.
It's a huge can of worms that opens up, and people have to just be aware of everything that can go on with it and what if it happens. So that's why I think this, profiting off a likeness thing is a great middle ground. I think it's more of a test to see how people would react to it, how the system would unveil.
Well, and it's what they deserve, and that's the thing too. I don't want to sit here and say, well, they don't deserve to be paid. No, but
they deserve reimbursement in some areas. Like, they work hard, too.
Exactly. So they are getting what they deserve because they're earning it themselves and building their brand and profiting off what they're bringing to the school with, jersey sales and things like that. So, no, it's a great way to basically say thank you for the money you're making the school.
For all the millions of dollars that we're investing.
Yeah, and how you're benefiting the brand of the school. So, I think it's great. And I was excited to see it because then I was like, okay, finally they figured this out somewhat and they're getting closer to what they need, but I think they need to stop there because you get further, it's going to just become super murky.
I agree. So you got Wilbon's article right in front of you. Do you have any other points that you want to kind of dissect or kind of go through with anything? Because it was a fairly decent or long article.
Yeah,
and he has some good points.
It's a good article.
A lot with it though. But
we kind of
we jumped all around all over the place.
We inadvertently covered pretty much all his points.
We always have a structure for these podcasts, and then just like, we're going over here. Now we're going over here.
No, you can't have a structure because there's so much that comes to mind. But this quote right here, this is like the one thing we didn't cover, and it was something drove me nuts, and I wrote a bunch of exclamation points by it.
Do it.
So, last quote of the article. Quote, "The players have become employees of the universities and conferences as much as students, employees with no compensation, which not only violates common decency, but perhaps even the law. So,
I read that.
So dramatic, dude.
That's okay. So
freaking
is he
dramatic.
saying that both the students, like the non-athletes, and the student athletes, are both employees of the university?
Yes.
Well, that's just not true.
Like
that's I.
Oh wait, you said the non-athletes?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, just student athletes then?
Student athletes. Yeah.
Okay.
No, he's not. He doesn't care about. I think there's a quote in the article too. We'll post the article by the way, so you guys can
we'll link
get
it
some
in the
context
below.
But he said there's another point. He brings up, jumping around again, of the argument how Nick Saban makes $5.9 million. This was written in 2011, so he might make more than that now. But it's basically how all the coaches make all the money, but the players don't. And I'll just read it.
That was his capitalism thing, where he was like, "Oh, it doesn't matter,"
Right. So he says, football and men's basketball get paid, lacrosse, field hockey, softball, baseball. Soccer players get nothing. You know what that's called? Capitalism. Not everything is equal. Not everything is fair. This is him trying to be like a hard ass. It's like, shut up, dude.
No, this is bad.
And then he says, the most distinguished professor at the University of Alabama won't make $5.9 million in his entire tenure in Tuscaloosa. Nick Saban will make that this year. Yeah, you know what Nick Saban doesn't have that the most distinguished professor at Alabama has? Tenure.
Yeah.
Dude, what?
Isn't it crazy what a weird world we live in, where these athletes are paid so much money and touted as so much fame and all that stuff, but the people who actually matter, like teachers or professors and stuff, who actually make a difference.
The people that actually matter.
Come on, in the grand scheme of things, who's
Will
said
athletes don't matter
to society? A professor, like a PhD in mathematics, or
right. No, it is crazy.
Is Nick Saban gonna go roll in and be like?
But this is my point. And he brings up capitalism. All right, Mr. Capitalism. Hey, dude, supply and demand. There's 1 million professors that have tenure, and that can go teach at Alabama and are protected and have all this, all these benefits, and they get summers off. Nick Saban, he can get fired any day. The dude, he's Nick Saban. If he goes 500, see you later.
Yeah,
he's gone. So also supply and demand, because he's running one of the greatest coaches of all time, and he's built Alabama to what it is back from the Bear Bryant era.
There's more people going to Alabama games than there are to that PhD professor's lecture,
right.
In
so it's
hall,
it's not just like he's sitting around just collecting the paycheck. He's working 24/7. He's sacrificing, and he can get fired at any time for anything. Being average at his job. See you later. We'll get someone else. A professor average at his job. They're not gonna. Yeah. They're not even gonna know. So it's that's a stupid point. But I'll get back to the original point I was gonna talk about. So again, his dramatic quote: "The players have become employees." Blah blah blah. And again, brings me back to my point of, no, they're getting the education. They are student athletes. Where they want to take the student part out about that. That's up to them. If they just want to be athletes, that's up to them. And okay, well, that's your choice to not take the thing that's given to you of education and use it as a plan B. Sorry, that's how life works. You got to make good choices. And I don't care what your background is. That's something you have to learn to
the harsh reality of life.
I mean, rich kids do that too. That's the thing. It's not like it's only these poor kids doing it. Rich kids do that where they're like, nah, I'm not studying. I'm not going to school. Even though they know an education's important, that's just literally learning to do that. And hey, man, if you don't want to be an employee, like I said, Darius Baisley, another guy. He, what pick was he in the draft? He was a 23rd pick in the 2019 NBA draft. He did not go to college.
He would go play in Europe?
No.
Where did he go?
You know what he did?
What did he do?
Got an internship at New Balance. This was last year, by the way, 2019 draft. Very recent, so very realistic for all these kids. Got an internship at New Balance, and he did marketing, he did product testing, he did everything. He also trained for the combine and just focused on the NBA, and he got drafted 23.
There you go.
So, and that's the thing. So, hey, you can go to Europe and play. You can go do that. I know that's hard, but that's super realistic. A guy just did this.
Yeah.
And he skipped the whole system. So if you think it's so corrupt, you don't want to be treated like a slave, you don't want to be an employee of the school, you don't want to do all that, okay, then do that. You have options. Like, no one's holding you hostage here saying you have to do this. Like, he did it. And I just think that story is not talked about enough and promoted enough of, hey, man, yeah, I will. I'm the first one to say the 1 year...
The one and done.
Yeah, you know how you can't go from high school to the NBA. I think that's stupid. Like, they do need to change that because you're right. If you're good enough and you want to go, you know, risk it and go from the league, you go to high school to the league, be my guest, go for it. So I think that should be changed, and that will get rid of this issue of, well, these kids, you know, they're used as employees. But at the same time, even if they don't change that, which I think they are, but if they don't change it, okay, then go do that route. Go be Darius Bazley.
Yeah, there's plenty of other avenues to go for, and there's other ways to circumvent it. And
right,
you know, it's people just don't understand kind of what the consequences are, and they don't look at it long term. They just look at it short term, and they let their emotions kind of get the best of them. So, but it's a good topic, though. I love the debate with it. I love kind of what it brings out, and it gives you a good dichotomy as to, you know, position A versus position B.
I just want to know how, because like I said, pie in the sky, it's awesome. It's great if they could get paid. But how do you do it? And when you dig deeper into that, you reach these roadblocks. It's so detailed that it's not like the NCAA is just, ha ha ha, we have our money, screw you, student athletes, we're using you. Like, it's just because they are a business and they're trying to make money, but it's also because you dig deeper, you reach these roadblocks of, okay, well, then what? Well, then what happens, and how do we do that? And you can't. Like, you come to a point where you have to stop because then, okay, well, how much do you pay him? And then you get into all of that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that needs to be figured out with it. But, you know, let us know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments below. You know, tweet at us. You know, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Spotify, or everywhere, you know,
YouTube.
Give us a follow. Let us know, because this is a cool debate. You know, we like talking about this. Obviously, you know,
we should do a part 2 of this. There's a lot to cover.
Well, maybe they've had enough of us.
Before we go though,
ranting,
because you're starting the outro here already.
This is going on for like almost an hour. So
it's a long one. Strap in. Before we go though, because I think this is important, it's relevant. What's your opinion on the James Wiseman situation?
Oh, yeah. So he was the center for Memphis that he was like...
He's still there.
So he was suspended 12 games because Penny Hardaway made a contribution to the school or something. And on that?
So Penny Hardaway, in 2008, he donated money to Memphis, his alma mater, and, you know, made a donation like they usually do. And then he became a coach recently, this past year, 2 years ago, recently. And then he recruited this kid, James Wiseman, 5-star recruit to Memphis. And in 2017, he helped his family move to Memphis because he's from Nashville. Like, that's literally what he did. That's it. He moved him from Nashville to Memphis, and the NCAA said it was a violation because it counted Penny Hardaway as a booster because he has a history of donating to the school.
I don't agree with that.
And so he's suspended 12
I think
games.
They should have suspended Penny Hardaway instead of, you know, the kid coming in. Because the Penny Hardaway probably has more knowledge of the rules and regulations than the recruit does.
Mm-hmm.
And one, like, he helped him, so he's the direct culprit of the violation, so to speak. So he should have been suspended instead of James Wiseman. So you've deprived now the kid of 12 crucial games to his college career,
mm-hmm.
instead of, okay, well, the kid was just like, cool, thanks for helping me out and moving and giving me the greatest opportunity of my life so far.
See, I think they need to change and create very black and white, right in front of your face. These are the violations, and these are not. And that's something, to me, why is that a violation? And that's where I will be on that other side of saying, like, the NCAA needs to chill out with the booster thing and these bribing these kids to come on, man. Like, be a human being and look into what it is. I mean, he donated in 2008.
No, I agree.
And then he helped him move 9 years later. I mean, come on, dude. He wasn't like this evil booster trying to bribe him to come to Memphis.
Yeah, there's no shady conspiracy or like...
And that's right. I just think...
under the table stuff going on.
You know, I think you got to look into that situation and say, all right, did he really go to Memphis because he helped him move? But then it's funny, though, because, all right, it's a violation. Well, then why isn't he suspended the whole year? Why does he get to come back in January?
Yeah,
you know why he gets to come back? Because he's a 5-star recruit, because he's going to make money for the NCAA.
Yeah.
So that's the part where I'll say the NCAA does need to figure their whole violation thing out, and that's where we get into not just the paying the players, but the whole, all right, figure out how this is actually hurting the school.
There's a lot of gray area with it, and there's not really any distinctions.
And that's what they need to get rid of, this gray area, and they need to change that, because you're hurting the school. They're NCAA is hurting University of Memphis, and they're hurting this kid. They're hurting everyone involved, and then come on, you can't even help a family move. Like, he's not like sliding money under the table and doing all this. He helped him move. I mean, come on. So I just think they need to take a case by case basis and say, all right, if you do this, we will suspend you, and we're going to suspend you this much, instead of, I mean, because if you did that, like the kid from Stephen F. Austin, he could set up a GoFundMe for his family, and that's not a violation. But James Wiseman got fined for this.
Yeah.
He can't set up a GoFundMe to pay that. How's he going to pay $11,000?
Like red tape rule within the law.
And that's the thing. That's where I'll end this by saying the NCAA should not pay their players. It shouldn't be that drastic of change, but they need to change the violation fiasco thing and the punishment thing and make it more black and white. And because they're totally picking on the kids of, trying to look moral and trying to look, we're making sure that they're abiding by the rules, but then, wait, you're a 5-star recruit, we're only going to suspend you for this much. So I think that's just a sad situation.
No, I agree, and there's so much that goes with it, and I think the NCAA is doing a good job of the middle ground of profiting off likeness. There needs to be more of a distinction between what is and what isn't a violation. Have a clear set of rules for it. That's my 2 cents on it, though. So
they're getting there.
They're getting there. They're not quite there yet, at least in my opinion. So I don't know. Maybe somebody else has got a different opinion, and they're like,
they 100%
totally pay the student athletes, or blah blah blah, whatever. I don't know. Tweet at us. Let us know. I want to hear the conversation,
because with this, it gets into, there's so many different things of how to treat. You get into the whole argument of, how do we treat the student athletes then?
That's another argument for...
And I think that's why this is so deep is, okay, pay them, don't pay them, but then within paying them, you get into the definition of pay, and then you get into definition of violations, and you get into the definition of boosters and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, but I'm tapped out for this one. I'm sure Aaron's got...
I'm good for now. Points. I got the rant out.
All right. So. Well, thanks again,
hey,
everybody.
And Jay Billis and Mike Wilbon, if you guys want to come on the podcast. I know Jay Billis is like,
oh boy,
he's a total opposite of everything
we've called out some pretty big guys on this podcast.
Hey,
but...
we got Talia Paris on the pod, and we got Ellie Rose.
We did.
And we got all the peeps. Got to give them some shout-outs. But, if you guys want to come on, definitely come on. We'll debate with you. It'd be good.
All right.
I'd love to debate with Jay Billis.
That would be great. I'd love that. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for another episode of the Weekendology Podcast. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts. Our latest episode, actually, we talked with Playboy model Talia Paris with her career in modeling and how Instagram changed the game. We're on Twitter at Weekendology Pod. We're on YouTube. We're also part of the Big Red World. It's a big podcasting network. You can follow them on Twitter at Big Red Social, and their website is bigredworld.org.
Yeah, shout out Colin Kessler.
Yep, Colin Kessler. Thanks so much. We're happy to be on. So
yeah. Hey, where can they follow you?
You can follow me at William Deichley on Twitter. And Aaron, where can they find you at?
Aaron Levi Berg.
Aaron Levi Berg. We got new episodes every Friday, so thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you guys again next week.